meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Mr. Foley?
Here.
Trustee Nyson?
Here.
Mr. McCall?
Here.
Mr. Chandler?
Here.
Mr. Frymark?
Here.
Mr. Easiak?
Here.
Trustee Gilbert?
Here.
Attorney Addis?
Here.
Treasurer Zak? Here. Clerk Murray?
Approval of agenda. I think we need to add okay, it's on there already. Okay.
I have a couple changes. The under unfinished business, can we strike C, and then under B, can we change Trustee Foley to Trustee Chandler?
I request, open for more recommendations. Under unfinished business, an update on demolition.
We just give it to
Second.
yeah. Are there any other changes?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that the amendment be approved as amended. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments on the agenda. Seeing none. Approval of minutes for the meeting of July 10th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for July 10th. Support.
Been properly moved and supported that the minutes of July 10th be approved. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Support.
Been properly moved and supported that the consent agenda be approved as presented. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Mr. Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Nyson?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Trustee B?
Yes.
Trustee Easiak?
Yes.
Trustee Frymark?
Yes.
President Gilbert?
Yes. President items. We need to schedule a Ways and Means meeting. I have about 4 or 5 items. Mrs. Primark, I'm sure the chair.
Yeah. When do you need the results on the meeting? Do you need the meeting right away or?
As soon as possible, but it's not like tomorrow.
Okay.
Just whenever it's convenient for the committee.
Okay. I'll get together with the rest of the committee and I'll get you a date.
Okay, and I will forward you the items that I want to talk about. Item B, cement. Church Street update, Sedona Street update.
Good evening. Just a quick update on Clark Street paving. Pavement operation has been completed, and we anticipate everything but that in 10 days. Contractor had a little setback because of the railroad coordination with their flyers, but they'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, to do the shoulders and ditching and all that. And then we got to generate, Marcus and I, a punch list for them for anything that's missing, needs to be addressed, and they have till the end of next week to finish.
There was a couple things that held us up. One was Edison. There was 2 utility poles that were out of position. And while the company came out and put the new poles in position, they didn't remove the old poles. So we're waiting for them to come back. And there was couple sections of sidewalk that had to be left out until those old poles are pulled out of the ground. And just to expand on what Samet said, the railroad, when they rebuilt that crossing a few years back, they have an easement that's 25 feet either side of the track. Well, they only put new asphalt in about 15 feet.
Short, yeah.
So we had an option of either putting our new asphalt up to their easement and leaving 10 feet of bad asphalt on both sides, or taking our new asphalt up to their new asphalt. Well, when you work into that right of way, you gotta get their permission, their flag, and their, I almost had to give up one of my grandkids. Okay, and it's been a pain. And even this ditch near the tracks, you have to go through that. So our whole drainage issue that we are resolving, once we can get back out there and ditch the last 15 feet, so that the water gets up under the tracks and gets down Park Street and over to the drain. It's just a few things that we've had, some of the obstacles that we've ran into when we put it like that. So let's continue to be patient. The residents on the street, for the most part, have been patient. It's the non-residents on the street that have been probably the most impatient. And with that being said, when the street is done, I had a conversation with the sheriff department. We're gonna patrol that area heavily because I don't want that to become the next, the new drag strip. New asphalt, I can just see people, so we're gonna set a few examples. I'm sorry. Your floor.
Any questions?
The project is still on budget? No overages?
We have some extras just because we added some ditch cleaning and we changed a few things to work with the project scope of it. Nothing major. We haven't got the numbers yet from the contractors, but once we get the pay request, we'll share everything. But all along, the president and DPW were informed of every change.
Was that the update for Beaumont? Or do you have any additional?
No. Any other questions for Clark? Chenault and Clark, as you guys know, we have a bad intersection, and we did get a quote from Florence to fix it, and then the schedule didn't work, so we obtained another bid from a different company, contractor named D&J, and they're supposed to come in and fix it in the next 10 days or so. And we gotta add 2 more locations. They're actually meeting with them tomorrow to go over the other 2 additional locations for patch and rehab work. That is planned for a day or 2 the most, and it'll be a full removal of the asphalt pavement replacement.
Have you worked with this company before?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a contract with them, with Lennox Township. We just did the intersection, well, not the intersection, but pavement by the 7-Eleven on 26 Mile. So that's the second time they came out. And they're local out of Clinton Township.
What are the other 2 locations?
Haver Ridge and Clark Street, the DPW had to do some exploratory work. We've been chasing what we think may be a water main leak. And so they had to do some exploring in those areas, trying to chase those leaks, trying to chase that leak.
Specifically to the Chenault intersection, the new contractor will still honor the amount we approved last meeting for that project?
They're actually cheaper.
They're actually cheap?
It's less.
Perfect.
And, well, Samantha won't say it, but I will. The reason we went and sought out other contractors after we had called a special meeting and got approval, the price went up by $10,000. They gave me a price, I called a special meeting, you guys approved it, and then the price went up. And, of course, you know my opinion, but we're not gonna treat us like that. So.
Any other questions?
Item C, Mr. Dehan.
Since the last meeting, we have completed, with regards to the division project, SD contract, we have completed the repairs on Division and Health Street, and they look pretty good. There's no water standing, from what I've seen. The contracts, the final estimate's been prepared and it's been provided to the village. There are, with regards to the contractor, there are some outstanding issues with regards to waivers, and so I guess if council were to approve the payment, it would probably should be made subject to suitable financial guarantees being provided in accordance with this city attorney.
Yes, the final payment is in the bills for approval, but the actual payment will be withheld until we receive all necessary waivers. And Mr. Anderson is satisfied that all waivers have been received.
Mr. President, if I may, I will meet with Mr. Dehan and we will make sure that it's all appropriate before that check goes out.
And then in regards to the SAW grant, since the SD contract's been done, I've been able to spend a little more time. I expect reports due October 1st, and I expect to have it complete by the first week of September, and that would be available for, if city council wants to review, or, the staff before it goes out. And I'm also working on the reimbursement request for the funds that have been expended today.
As long as that information is shared with Sandy and she's happy with the information, then we're good with it.
Okay.
That project, like I said, we have a deadline as to closing that project out, right? And that deadline is
October 1st.
October 1st. So it's important that we get it closed out.
Yes.
We just have the report included in our packet.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to hold it out, but
Right.
just, we make sure it's in there.
Yeah. Sandy will make sure that the information that we receive from Tom is included in next month's packet.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Dehan?
When's it gonna be over? That's the same question, when's this gonna be over?
Item D, budget amendments.
Okay, what I closed in the packet tonight is basically the capital outlay that I want to update in our budget for this year. Last year, we had approved $220,000 for the Clark Street rehabilitation thing in August 18th. I don't know why I just put 320, but I put $259,700, because that was what the bid we had at the time. So we weren't supposed to go behind that, but we did approve $320,000, and the project's going to be that much. So that's why I increased the budget to $60,300 on that one line item. We did, in those special meetings, approve at the board meeting the $32,600, which is Janelle Clark. And we also did approve the Victoria Clark Orchard Street approval for $20,000. So I wanted to increase the budget for what you guys had approved in the last couple council meetings. The SDE construction consent agenda, the final payment is $103,272. I want to put that in our budget so that we can pay that payment off. And also there, I do have, we are holding a payment from public contact from March. It's like, I think it's like $10,000, a little over $10,000 over the home payment. And this is the other payment that we have been sitting there. I'd like to get that approved and hold that until this project is completed also, once we get the change order of SDE done. So So today I'm asking for approval to increase the budgets on our capital outlay on major roads and highway funds to increase it to $372,601 on the major roads, and on the highway fund, I want to increase it $162,446. Any questions?
What's the overall increase?
The overall increase is,
Do math, do math.
In the paperwork that we have, the major road budget increase was 112,000.
yeah, for the capital is a major road, $112,990, and for the highway fund is $114,914.80. For a total of,
227,815.70.
thank you, Rachel. Any questions?
Are these already billed? Are these anticipated expenditures?
The SD construction is on the consent agenda tonight, and so is the Con. The ones on the major roads, these are expected. So they're the ones that are expected. So I wanted to get that budget up to the 320 that you guys had approved, so that we can get budget amendments for that. Any questions?
Are we forward looking for the next year's budget? Do we already have monies allotted for similar sort of improvements that we can anticipate?
Yes.
So hopefully we won't have to.
Yes. This is, those are some funds that are probably our healthiest.
Yes.
And this is just anticipating, instead of waiting till the end of the fiscal year to come in with all the amendments, we're trying to bring them in on a quarterly basis.
And this is for action as well, right? So you want us to...
Yes.
Please make a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion that we increase the capital outlay major roads budget by $112,990 and capital outlay highway fund by $114,914.80. Second.
It's probably moved and supported that we approve the budget amendments as presented. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Madison?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Giesecke?
Yes.
Trustee Kreidler?
Yes.
President Milbert?
Yes. On that,
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
I got the next question too. You want me to do it? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, the next, I had sent you guys a memo asking about the audit report approval for March 2016. You had received in your mailbox, and also electronically from Mr. Ryan Smith, the audit letter and also the financials. I'm asking for approval for that. Does anybody have any questions on that information? I have a couple of details I want to talk about on the letter. If you don't mind, some of the things that could have to happen in the coming years. One of the things that is, we're all aware of our sewer deficit happening, and it's also, it's being corrected, and the statements are in here, and showing that, that we are, we're taking care of it, is basically what I'm trying to say. We did have some subsequent adjustments that happened, and basically it was depreciation, accrued accounts payables and stuff like that, that affected the bottom line, that was not put in the financials at that time. So we did see some of those changes there. On the major funds, we had, on the enterprise fund, which is our water and sewer, they were trying to, our auditors were trying to book the deficit in that time and show that the receivables were $550,000. And so that's where you're going to see the subsequent adjustments on page 5 of that letter. It was $452K for sewer and $296K for water. So for the next coming year, in 16-17, we're going to show again that what's due for the receivable is $550 again, and then whatever we had to write off at that time. So we will see this next time in the financial statements. On page 6, we had deficit fund balance in the sewer. You're all aware of that. And I just wanted to make some notes about some of the stuff that's going to be coming up. In 18-19, they're telling us that our chart of accounts are not in compliance. And I didn't have a problem.
What's not compliant?
Our chart of accounts, our uniform chart of accounts is not in compliance. So, for example, our water department is 592 and our sewer is 594 switched. Stuff like that's going to happen. So I'm going to have to go through all the chart of accounts and make sure they're compliant with the uniform chart of accounts for the state. So that's one of the things that we have to do. Another thing that's happening, the same that we had a municipal quality statement. I need to find out what's going on with that because it doesn't have that report available for us to even update. What else did I have? So, and one of the last points was that we know that we have not been on time with our audits, and what's happening now is so this one that I'm asking for approval tonight is for March 31st, 2016. We're getting, probably next week or two, we'll have the March 2017 draft form. We're still on schedule for us coming in that weekend of September 22nd to the March 2018. I spoke with the state today asking about the CVTRS money. They said if we get this all within compliant and everything reported to the state by November, they will cut us a check for everything that's back money. So that will be a lot of help to all of us on that stuff. So does anybody else have any questions? That's all I had today.
What's the CVTRS, what's that?
Oh my God, asking that. County, village, I don't know. I'll have to tell you later.
County, township, village.
City, village, and township revenue share.
There we go. Thank you so much, Brian.
I didn't know this revenue.
Yeah, revenue sharing basically. So
And what do you
leave it to the whole.
anticipate?
I'm sorry.
What's that about how much?
Want me to tell them?
Sure.
About $250,000. So we have to be on time. So I don't want. It's could be $250,000.
Let me just, and I think I probably have in the past shared this, when we talk about water and sewer deficits, it's not the current, we currently charge enough to cover our costs. It's what happened in the past when, say, the sewer debt wasn't passed on to the residents, the general fund was covered, the water debt wasn't passed on, and the general fund was covered. That's where the deficit comes from. And so we're trying to get the auditors to allow us to just write it off, which I don't think they have allowed us yet.
They didn't.
Yeah.
With the settlement.
This is 2000. This one.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they written some up.
Some up.
15, 16. Like I said, they're showing a receivable that 550 is due. And then they're going to do the same thing for 16, 17. And we're going to see a big thing happen in 17.
I guess I'm just saying that to just let everybody know that it's not the current.
Status of it. Oh,
Yeah.
what's going on. So on this one, I'm asking for you to approve the audit for March 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported, then we approve the audit for 2016. Questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee B?
Yes.
Mr. Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Kezia?
Yes.
Trustee Franklin? President Gilbert?
Yes.
Thank you for all your support.
Yeah. Let me just backtrack just for a hot minute. We were talking about roads and funding for roads. At some point, I'm gonna contact a couple trustees and get together with them so that we can start working on either road projects that would take place late this year or start getting their ducks in a row for next spring. So when you get that request, please make yourself available so we can sit down and start planning, for the next cycle.
Would that be something we could do in Ways and Means, or?
We could do it in ways and means. We could do it. There's a number of ways we can do it. I could just bring something to you guys. I would rather have some input because I know what the next street is gonna be. But there's some small areas that I think we need to address before they deteriorate to the point where it's gonna cost us a lot more. And I think one of the areas is River Oaks and whatever the cross street before the elementary school. There's some concrete that is starting to crumble. There's an area, I think the Decorah entrance off of 26 needs to be addressed. And so there's some areas that we need to possibly, we could probably make these repairs for $10,000 today compared to something much larger later on. There's some streets in my own stuff that I'm almost afraid to even look at them because I know they're concrete streets and they're expensive. And I don't know what the alternative is. We mill out the concrete and come back with asphalt. There's some alternatives out there. So we didn't even have a conversation to start putting our game plan together. Item F. I had a request from the owner of the old mill, the store at the elevator. And what it is, he needs municipal approval for his used vehicle license. And I have pretty much refused to sign it because I'm not positively sure that it fits in what the planning commission thoughts are for that property. The old hardware store, the storage sheds along the track, and the elevator property. Like I said, I could sign it, and it never had to come to council. It doesn't go to planning, but I want council to be aware. And I don't know if council has any opinion as to what they would like for that area to be. As far as the zoning, what's back there. Right now, he's running like a Saab. I think he specializes in Saab autos. And he's one of the few dealers in the state in the Midwest that sells used Saab auto parts. Is he compliant with what we want back there? I'm not sure.
What's the scope of the business? Is he gonna have cars parked on the property lined up with for sale signs on them?
No.
That don't, Brian, come on up.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Ron Dowdy, I am the gentleman, so absolutely not. We have not needed to, and that's why I kind of worked in that back area. Everybody that we have coming up there has all been run out. We do virtually no advertising whatsoever. So I need to advertise the cars. I can go with a very small, because we keep very small little niche market. It just kind of worked out. And unfortunately, I didn't know how it would work out when I first started it, but it did, and we bring people from all over. So we have people coming as far as Ann Arbor, Toledo. I mean, I think there's people on the board that, have looked up, if you Google it, we have an extremely good name. We try to keep it that way 100%. eBay, the same thing, everything that we do. It's just trying to get everything so it's to 100% legal. That's why I came up months ago and asked to at least find out where we had to go, what we needed to do.
I think we all appreciate that, but I know a concern that I have, and maybe a few others that share it,
Absolutely.
is that New Haven has had a problem with pop-up repair shops,
Absolutely.
car repair shops,
Correct.
trailers just parked on the side of the street.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get a grip on what that area of town looks like. It suffered some image problems. We want to ensure that we have a direction of development for that area.
Yeah,
And your
totally
business, your business is, any business is more than welcome in the village. As long as we can maintain an image in that area that isn't broken down cars. Cars parked in a lot with weeds growing up in it.
And unfortunately, until you get one, you can't get the other, because the Starbucks don't want to come in next to this, or the little antique shop, or whatever, so I totally understand. And I don't know a way, but I would love to open up a little coffee shop, people stroll in and have coffee, worry about cars breaking down, it'd be very simple. I just can't see a coffee shop making it, do you know what I'm saying? So for right now, we have to, and I'm okay, even if it's a temporary, as things develop, I'm more than willing to work, so you don't get trapped, because I can understand that. But it has worked out well. I think that everybody has been doing it for some, so nothing needs to change from what I've done, except I can get more efficient. I can make it more cleaner, nicer, and I've tried. And Hillsbrook has the same thing by making the property look nicer. We just gotta have something to generate some income to keep the flow of money to do the improvements and everything else. And it's the best I have.
Yeah, do you have any kind of, like a plan, a layout, what you want the business to look like? Has planning gotten anything from?
Right there.
This-
Yep.
We, from the planning perspective, we actually we just had a request about the zoning, and we actually set up a public hearing for the next, September, can't remember the date, like, the September meeting, where we have a public hearing about the rezoning.
And back a few months ago, some of the board members stopped by my place so we could walk through and show them and what have you, and, you know. So,
Yeah,
That's pretty much why I'm bringing it here, because I know there's a public hearing for the rest of the property, right, for the, and, you know, with that, I mean, because I think they're looking for that Class A designation or something to that effect. Mr. Mason.
Oh, yeah.
No, Mr. Cody.
I don't know if you're looking at
There's a planning.
Yeah, so, it's, September 4th is the meeting date, and it was for the public hearing, and it was to go from residential office to light industrial.
So it may behoove us to maybe hold off on this. And let's see what planning decides with the rest of the property.
and I figure we can get a clearer picture of how this business, your hopes for this business, the anticipated layout of the business, you know, if you're gonna have these vehicles in a garage, if you're gonna have landscaping. My concern again is that area has been neglected for quite a long time. We want to see improvements in that area and still encourage business.
correct,
So-
and I hope, and I definitely know what you're talking about, and, you know, so not, by no means, I totally understand. And I look out the window of my office and you look there and you think, what would go here, what, you know, how can I make it better as opposed to ours, and to be more established, I guess, and make it more, you know, where it's more inviting for people.
More inviting.
And, you know, the people that we have coming out, and like I said, reading some of the business plans, trying to get people from outside the community to come into this downtown section too. So if there was a restaurant, if, you know, there is something, it would work out perfect. I wish there was, because there's a lot of customers that have to sit in the office that I could easily say, you know, there's a restaurant there, go grab a cup of coffee, you know, and all this, but I don't know how to, you know, so, I mean, where it starts, I don't know, so hopefully I can, and like I said, as the village changes, I'm not opposed to, I mean, I want to fit in. I would not want to be that guy that is outside of, you know, so if it did go to what they originally wanted with doctor's offices and professional, I think is what it's on now, which I don't know what doctor's office, because I think it's considered residential office. So what is a residential office? More that lawyer, doctor type, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know who used that facility for that. I've never been to a, do you know what I'm saying, right? Where it is, where it's located for that, so.
I think back in the days, before the entire downtown was devastated,
Right.
there were offices, banks, cleaning establishments.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if we want to lose focus on a variation of that, and certainly, you sound like you'd be a great partner for New Haven, but I think the public hearing will kind of give the people down in that area an opportunity to say, yeah, he wants to be a good partner in New Haven's development,
I
or
hope that works, because luckily someone bought some. I go too far. Doesn't work as well.
we appreciate you coming here and talking, because we've had a lot of surprises in the past couple of years, so,
Yes.
yeah, I appreciate you coming over and talking to us about this, so. So when was that meeting?
September 4th.
Okay.
So I got a quick one.
Go ahead.
Last time you did come, maybe a year ago or so, it was a while back.
It was a few months back, and definitely.
I think around the idea, like, at least, like you said, maybe it's a temporary fix or something of that nature, but, like, as you come down, gosh, what's the name of the street? What's the name of the street?
Division.
Division, okay, so as you come down there toward Hayden Ridge, and you're looking straight ahead into what opens up to be your parking lot, or your storage space there. Like currently, and it kind of changes day to day, but you'll see sometimes you got like 6, 7, 8 cars right out front there.
Glad you brought that up.
And the last time we spoke, there was kicked around food for thought. Why don't you put like a fence there at least to start? You know, kind of block it off while you're looking at, and then maybe I don't know, like she was saying, like some landscaping, some bushes in front maybe or something of that nature. But that hasn't happened yet. Is there any reason why or any?
Two reasons why. One is that Hallsburg owns the whole length of that property now. What we're doing right now currently to help our situation is in the back area, way in the very back of where you can't see. I mean, the houses, where we got the privacy fence you're asking, which only covers the back of the houses, but we're bringing the sun because it's just dead grass area, but it wasn't used a lot. That'll clear that out, which will open, and just keep it clean. Now, the black privacy fence, if you saw what behind, is that more appealing if we just had cleaned it. And those will have a room in the very back, which there is quite a bit of room that you cannot see from the, you can't see it if you try to get out of it, it just isn't possible. So we're trying to develop that. The only problem is we're bringing in stone right now, so it's just jockeying, but this is happening as we're speaking.
Why don't we, like I said, wait until, let's see what planning decides with the rest of the property. And if it's conforms with the rest of the property, then, we can approve it.
Yeah, because so your business, 93 Auto LLC, is using the same property as the construction company at that granary, right?
Yes.
You guys are pretty much sharing the property then?
Yes, well, they're the landlord, I'm the tenant.
Oh.
So, any other questions?
I'm sorry, what's your full name for record?
Ronald W-U-G-H-T-Y.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Attorney items.
I believe that we have through Ms. Kazel and Sean in my office, they've presented to you the ordinances that are in your package and they're ready for approval. I think they're appropriate unless there's a last minute question, but I think that we've all agreed on them.
Yes, an amendment for 203, sections 5 and 6. That's the one that we want for approval for tonight, yes.
And it's based on everything that's been discussed here before and between us, and it's ready for approval. We have the package with the necessary changes in it, and it just it needs action by the.
What would the amendment number be?
355.
I motion to, amend ordinance 203, sections 5 and 6 as ordinance number 355, as presented.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported. That we amend ordinance 203, sections 5 and 6, and the new ordinance number will be 355. 355. I hope everyone has read through this, because it's something that we definitely need. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Mason?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholder?
Yes.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Izia?
Yes.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
President Zimmer?
Yes. Payment of bills.
Because of my inputting error, and we just got the sewer debt after I had given the clerk the numbers for the budget. The actual request for August is $557,091.79. 557,091.79.
Motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $557,091.79.
Second.
I'm sorry, I had an attorney in my ear.
I had to talk to him just a second, I apologize.
Vote the motion.
Moved and seconded for the payment of bills.
Okay. Questions on the motion?
I do. The amounts for Mr. Ryan Smith are on this month here, correct?
Yes. And on page 2.
I have a question on it because I remember at the last meeting that it was brought up that we decided that he would only be doing tasks that we couldn't do in-house. And those tasks, he would be showing our staff how to do those so that he wouldn't have to do them in a perpetuity, basically. That was going on almost a year ago. And even at $100 an hour, 50 hours a month, we're going on 500 hours worth of work that we can't do.
I think we capped them at 3,000. Did we not?
5.
Was it 5?
So I'm just curious of what
That was 3.
the workload is that he's doing, that we're spending that much money to do work that we can't do in-house.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
Because that's what we agreed on at the last meeting that was brought up.
Or, here's your choice. And this is a choice that I've given you many times before. Let's shut him down and bring the audit to a halt, or let's get him completed. Everything he's doing is necessary. He's in contact with the auditors. He's also training Sandy on some auditing principles that need to be done. So I, for one, will not say stop at 3 hours. Because if the auditor calls him, I need him to pick up the phone.
And I'm not saying that. I mean, the auditors can call here.
If they can call here and get the answer, they do, because the questions come to Sandy first.
And that's what I'm asking. What is the question that they're asking? The amount of questions they must be asking for this amount of money.
There's a
that
lot of
she can't
questions.
answer.
There's a lot of questions, a lot of paperwork, a lot of legwork, a lot of reaching back years and bringing information forward.
Could that information be provided to us in a packet then?
Can it be? Sandy, you asked me that question.
Well, a lot of it is like I have to do this F-65 reporting that we have to do to the state, stuff that's reporting. There's a whole bunch of, sure, I can download what we gave to the auditors we can do.
I'm not disputing the amount of work. I'm disputing the amount of work that we apparently can't do in-house.
Because most of it pertains to the auditors, and I certainly can't put Sandy on audit work 100%. Because then who's gonna do the rest of it?
But that's not what we agreed to when we made the motion for Mr. Ryan to continue working for the village. He was continue working for the village for work that we could not do. And then he would instruct how to do that, of course.
Sandy only has 40 hours in a week, and for her to do the audit work and her day-to-day accounting is just totally unreasonable and inconceivable.
I don't know why that didn't get brought up that month then.
Well, I was hoping that reasonable people would come to that conclusion that she can't do them both.
Okay, are we looking to keep Mr. Reinsmith on permanently?
No, we're looking to get these audits up to date, and then Mr. Reinsmith would only be, or some outside auditor would be.
You mean like Gillian? Are they out too far?
Yes.
They out too far.
Yes.
Okay, so Sandra, and thank you again for all the hard work you're doing, was talking about the state releasing funds because we anticipate these back audits being brought up and approved by the state much faster. So we can see a light at the end of the tunnel with Mr. Reinsmith. We're caught up.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like it's going to be November. So I do question with Trustee Pacoli why he's exactly hitting the $5,000 mark. But we do have a light at the end of the tunnel. And you know me, and how much I like Mr. Reinsmith working for the village, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But after November, once we're all caught up, I see no reason on earth why the village accountant will be able to handle that information, giving it to Yale and Yale going forward. So,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, but we are in this position primarily because of the work that Sandra and Mr. Reinsmith is doing. And we've gone from taking a year and a half for the first audit to 9 months for the second audit to 3 months for the third audit to, we have.
And once we're caught up, then Mr. Reinsmith can be released with our thanks. And our village accountant will be able to handle the information to our auditing firm going forward, I think. Because I have full, complete trust in him.
As do I. That's why I question the amount of work that he's still doing.
And
What was he doing with Meadow Creek and
he was doing some calculating to make sure that we were billing properly, and he was doing.
Is he done with it? Because I think we
That's done.
said that he's got to stick to the audits. So he's done with that.
And that was settled.
Okay. Okay. So he's only dealing with the audits.
He is still dealing with some in-house things too also.
We have an issue with the bank reconciliation still. There's a lot, we have to figure out how we were going to address the $17,000 that we cannot find. And it's from back years and years. And we need to figure out where we're going to put it, how we're going to deal with it, if we can find it. And the auditors have said that we need to have an explanation on it, and that's what we've been doing the past couple months.
There's a lot of things, and I wish I could bring this council in and sit them in this office for 40 hours. It is unbelievable the mess that was inherited.
This has been going on for 2 years though.
It's
2
been
years
going on.
plus.
But we're reaching back into 06.
But there's got
07.
to be a period at the end of the sentence.
Well-
When do you think we're going to be caught up? When do you think things are going to be reconciled? When do you think that going forward, all the funds will be going in the right account?
Right account, right direction. But there's gonna have to be some adjustments, some amendments, because things that we're finding, when the numbers weren't right years ago, now we gotta make amendments going forward, and every year, those amendments, you can't just make them once, you have to make them. Okay?
We're into an audit period now that's outside of that.
We're into an audit period that is still being affected by the previous 10 years. And that's the part you don't understand. It's not just close out 16, 17 and then go into 17, 18. What you did in 16, 17 affects 17, 18. Or what you did in 15, 16 or 14, 15 affects every year.
And right
And
now,
the fact of the matter is that the state is holding back revenue sharing, and once we get these audits complete, she just announced that we're gonna receive a large chunk of change. This is not just gonna be given to us, everything has to be right. And the state has to accept the audits.
And it sounds like November is the month we can look forward to.
And again, I'm not questioning the work that's being done. I'm questioning who's doing it and who can and can't do it.
Can I make a request / recommendation? I also held your same concerns more than a year ago, at least, let's say, and further back than that, as we got started with Mr. Reinsmith. I was very outspoken, especially early on. I sat down with Sandy in office there a couple times, more than a couple times, 2 or 3 or 4 times, sometimes on other matters as well. And I asked her the tough questions. One time it was just, I think I had a list, I think I had like 7 or 8 questions. And I'm happy to say that my fears have subsided. I don't like stroking the check from Mr. Reinsmith as much as anybody else on this board. But after sitting down with Sandy and asking her the questions and having her walk me through, which she was more than accommodating to do, and thank you for that, I feel comfortable with it. I hated it originally. It's a necessary evil. And I didn't come to that conclusion easily. I've sat down with her multiple times, but I would definitely recommend that you sit down with our accountant.
And so would I.
And she can explain.
So would I.
That's why I'm requesting to see the work that goes to Mr. Reinsmith. That's what I want to see. I want to see what is going over there. What is this $5,000?
Come in the office. Come in the office.
Email it. I want to see it.
This board needs to come in the office and see the work that's being done. And I would have to say, Mr. B has come in and sat down, and while he probably has occupied way more Sandy's time than needed to be occupied, because she is busy, but we can appreciate you taking the time to come in.
So next month's meeting, we'll have the work that was sent to Mr. Reinsmith to be completed for this month. Not a general summary. I can write a general summary too and take up 50 hours.
That could potentially be like 100 pages of miscellaneous.
It could be 100 pages, and he's not gonna sit down and do those 100 pages for free.
Of only the work we can't do in-house.
Oh, is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay, state your question again.
So next month's meeting, we will have a list of items that we cannot complete in-house. We don't have the ability to complete in-house that was sent to Mr. Reinsmith to do for this month.
We will share with you whatever requests we get from Yo and Yo. And Sandy goes through that list, and the items that she can't complete, that's when she engages Mr. Reinsmith.
That's what I'm asking.
But that list may come out next week, and it may take a month or 2 to complete that list because of our filing system, our lack of, they literally drag off boxes. And so, no, I'm not gonna promise you some answer to that. No, the work is gonna go, we are not gonna be sidetracked by us chasing some list that you want. No, I'm not gonna make you that promise.
Well, and if I may, I mean, at this point, this month's bills, we're looking at roughly $16,000, $17,000. Even if we say, let's just round it to an even 20 and say that's, even if it's 20,000 a month for the rest of the year, that still is, and I'm way overinflating these numbers. That's still a drop compared to the revenue sharing that we're gonna get once we finish this audit, all these audits and just close this out.
That's what I look at, you spend money to make money, and we spend money to get money back.
Before we move on, just so that there aren't any, but you said, I didn't hear it straight from her or the president. If you guys want to acknowledge, it'd be nice. If not, I understand, but, this date of November keeps getting thrown around. Do we think that that is a reasonable time frame?
I would hope it's a reasonable time frame, but I certainly wouldn't support no action on it.
Sure. Because
you don't know what hiccup we're gonna run into. And trust me when I say we run into enough of them. Where were we?
I think we're
Been supported.
Yeah, no, that supported the treasurer's proposal.
Any other questions on the toilet? No?
No.
Payment of bills.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Payment of bills. Any other questions? Roll, please.
Trustee Madison?
Yes.
Trustee Beatty?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholder?
No.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Giesecke?
Yes.
Trustee Treadwell?
No.
President Melvin.
Yes. Madam Clerk?
Oh, just to have the agenda items to be by August 30th for September 11th meeting. Thank you.
Treasury report.
Total village assets of $2,879,727.56.
I make a motion to receive and file the treasurer's report.
Second.
It's been moved and supported that we move and file the treasurer's report. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Unfinished business, water and...
Sewer ordinance? Yeah, I think
Do
you're.
you want me to explain that?
Which one is that?
The water sewer ordinance amendments. The one that we just approved was for the municipal civil infractions.
For the civil infractions.
Yes, that's what we just amended. This one is, we're still working on the water and sewer ordinance. We are going through the sewer ordinance right now with Mr. Kelly from Mr. Addis' office. We're in like our second draft, and we're still looking at it. So it didn't make it to this agenda. Hopefully we'll have it finished by next agenda. That's the sewer one. The water one's going to be more complicated.
If I may, Mr. President, this is to keep the ordinance up to date so that we never have some of the legal issues we faced in the last lawsuit. We'll be able to close them out. So it takes a pretty technical rewriting, and we've been working on that. Hopefully by the next meeting, we will be able to at least present something for review, if not for vote.
Yes. Thank you. Item B.
Village manager, so everybody has been sent the 4 resumes, which we have narrowed down from all the resumes that were received from the clerk. I believe, and yeah, both trustee Chandler and trustee Haystack would like to correct me. I believe the next steps that we're going to be recommending would be to bring the 4 in and have interviews.
Yeah, a schedule of interviews. Everybody would be invited to attend those interviews from the board, from the council. And then the recommendation would go up from there. But the goal would be to have each of them have their own interview in front of the committee with the intent that the board could attend as well. If we wanted to make it public for everyone to attend, I'm sure we could do that as well. I don't see any issues with that. However, it just wouldn't be it's proper format if we did it at like a board meeting and try to ask questions, and it just doesn't work that well.
We could schedule a meeting just for this purpose.
Yeah, the other thing that we want to keep in mind too is I believe at least one of the resumes, they had mentioned confidentiality on it.
Oh, I think that subject already took a job.
There was a few of them that had asked for confidentiality.
Right, but the resume you're talking about?
Oh.
He took a job last month.
So one of the 4 we already,
Yeah, one of the 4 already got a job.
I'll have to go back and take a look.
Doesn't mean they don't swear.
After a month?
Maybe we can still.
Stranger things.
You want to hire a guy that knocks like that?
No, I don't. I'm just saying because I'm saying it doesn't mean he'll decline, or he or she will decline.
So would we schedule that as a workshop then, or like a?
We can schedule it as a workshop.
You could. And as long as there's no action,
Oh,
Right, no action, this would just be interview.
you just interview.
And then we would bring, how would we go about after that, then we bring them back?
Well, we would schedule them, individually so that they're not sitting here all together.
Right.
Give them a time slot of 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, or whatever. And go from there.
Do we want to do the workshop before the next, do it as a special date? Because I don't think we want to wait until the September meeting to schedule it before the September meeting. I think we would want to have it within the next week or 2.
correct. You can do it either 2 days, right? Between 2 days, and bring 2 in one day, 2 in the other. We could also if, depending on where they have to travel from, we can do a Skype for one, if we needed to. And then, we can do it all in one day, and do 45 minutes for each.
All right, what do we want to do then? Do we want to set the dates here right now, or do we want to?
Maybe we could, I guess, so that everybody knows about them. Or we could post them and put them on the website if we need to do that as well.
Yeah. Would it be proper to have it as an open forum, posted like that for?
Candidate interviews, we can look at manager position for sure.
All right, do we want to do that then? We'll just, we'll go back, we'll get the dates set up, and then we'll, so probably, I would say maybe next week or the following week. We try to get this knocked out as soon as possible so we can have it ready for September.
Make sure you check the calendar because there's a public hearing, there's a ZBA meeting.
Parks and Rec next week.
Tuesdays are pretty much booked. Tuesdays are pretty much booked.
Right. So it'd have to be a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday.
Maybe we can do Tuesday.
I mean, I would probably try and get it as close to the next meeting as possible, so the week prior to September 11th, I would probably do that week.
Okay. So probably the 5th, 6th, or 7th?
Yeah, because the 4th is the planning, right?
Yeah.
And again, if these are subject to open meetings, it has to be posted 18 hours in advance.
Well, we try to do it 2 weeks in advance if we can.
Okay.
I mean, we've already narrowed it down to the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Do we want to just go ahead and pick our days here?
You want to just do the 5th and the 6th?
Wednesday, Thursday?
Or do you want to try to do it in one day?
Talk to the applicants first.
Yeah, see what their
Yeah, we're going to see what
availability
their
is.
availability is too. That's okay.
Technically, you don't do it that way. Technically, they show if they want, and if they
Yeah.
don't want to show,
Okay, yeah.
you don't technically cater to the candidate.
All four are available on one day. Works for
Yeah. If we do 45 minutes each, I think we should probably have it be two days.
Yeah, only one of them is
And that way-
local.
What's that?
Only one of them is local,
Yeah.
so we'd have to plan travel time.
Yeah, travel time and or Skype. And then it also, if we do spread it out over 2 days, then we can at least kind of shuffle based off of availability.
Pick the bank of dates. We'll pick those 3 dates, talk to the candidates, and if we can get them in that time slot, let's go with it.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so 5th, 6th, and 7th based off availability of the candidates. Okay.
Frankly, not candidate.
And so then, from that point forward, it's expected that the committee will get together and make your decision on the favorite autos that you interviewed in September, and
Correct, you pick one candidate and bring them to the board.
then it's yes or no, do we want to hire this one candidate?
But I would encourage the entire board to be at
Be
those interviews. And if you need to Skype in, we can set that up. Just do it from your phone at work.
Okay, so we're set on that?
Yeah.
Not interviews.
So you guys are going to set this up and inform the rest of the council?
We will.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Item D.
Planning Commission administrative updates. So everybody has had the zoning amendment updates. They're administrative updates based off of job title, changing zoning administrator to, or building administrator to, I don't know. There's a couple of changes. They're really minor. This is something that we've been discussing for a few months now. You guys have all had all of the amendments for a few months. We did have our attorney look over the amendment. They had no problem with it. So the purpose of this one is just some minor changes to bring it to be in line with the development guidebook. Originally, the plan was that we would publish the guidebook and then we would also have these amendment changes published so everything flows. But based off of the previous discussions that we've had, I believe that and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the pleasure of the council is that we withhold publishing, but that will approve each of the incremental updates as we have them available. So then at the end of all the updates, we can publish it all in one fell swoop. We we don't have to pay for all these incremental updates and publications. So with that said, everybody has the copies of it. I emailed them previously. I also emailed it about an hour before the meeting. And I would be requesting for approval of that amendment, all the changes that were presented in the attachments.
I make a motion to approve the amendments as recommended by the planning commission, as presented by trustee Mason.
Support.
The properly moved and supported that we approve these amendments. And I mean, I'm going to refer to them as administrative updates.
Yeah, most of the updates were all just title changes.
Their titles. Absolutely. Questions on the motion?
Not so much a question, but a statement. And I apologize because of all the amendments or all of the little changes with this one. This one was more of a mess to try to put it into the proper format that we would normally have. But moving forward, I just wanted to make the statement that the intention is that you guys will have a nicely formatted amendment to look at, like we looked at today.
Were these amendments made or made public at the planning meeting so that so the public knows what we're voting on right now?
Yeah, this was already, we had a public hearing back in, I believe it was June or July. We had the public hearing for it. No issues.
Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee McCollum?
Yes.
Trustee Madison?
Yes.
Trustee Kezia?
Yes.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
President Gilbert?
Yes. We're going to talk about demolition. You had a question about demo?
Yeah, I was just curious. I know it's been public for a little while that we got approval to knock out half of the old funeral home on Main Street. I don't think we've done it, but I do see that it's falling in on its own.
He's working on, we had to wait for a environmental study. Being a municipality, we had just come in and turned somebody loose without having an environmental study. We could have been exposed to serious fines if something had been found. In the meantime, he decided to start taking it down himself, which he probably should have done a year ago. Okay. I had a conversation with him just recently, last Friday, Saturday.
For the first time we talked to him, person to person?
No, that's probably the second time. He's made himself available recently. And I think it's his sister who lives downriver who's been staying on top of him. So I pretty much said, fine, take it down. But you need to do it quickly. You know, do it within a week. I mean, I can go in there with a sawzall and separate those walls and, you know, be done with it. You know, have a dumpster brought in and, I mean, it's probably a 2-day job, you know. So he supposedly got some buddies that are coming out to help him. So we're gonna wait a week and see, because we still have the contract on that. And personally, I would rather not waste our money paying a contractor because we have to wait a whole year to get our money back on the tax.
Sure.
We have to put a lien on the property.
I forget, did we approved like going through the legal means, but then I can't remember, did we approve the actual expenditures of what it would be necessary to actually demo that cast?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So,
I'm quite sure we did.
so if like after a week or two or whatever, before next council meeting, are we just gonna say, you weren't fast enough, we're gonna do it ourselves? So potentially, within a month, hopefully we'll get
I hope it's
down one way.
down and looking like something because, you know, the fact that he's doing it himself, he's actually creating a small mess because he's just throwing everything on the ground. Now it has to be picked up, and, you know, but there was money in our demo budget that was left over that would more than cover this, you know.
Did we already order the environmental study?
Yes, we just got it back, got it back last week. Yeah, and there's no asbestos or nothing that's harmful.
Will he ultimately be incurring that cost, or is that something that the village needs?
That's a conversation we're gonna have with the attorney.
All right.
But that was like $1,000 bill.
Just for them to tear it down.
And even if we do that, it goes on the taxes too, right?
Yes, yes. New business, sprinkler ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Mason. There's been some inquiries lately from residents about a second meter for their sprinkler. And, you know, we're just putting together all the language, all the information that a resident needs to know. And I can understand that they want the second meter so they don't have to pay sewer and whatever else they have to pay. But I think what they're finding out, and I'm sure some residents are still gonna go with the second meter, the cost of the meter, the installation of a backflow preventer, the annual inspection of that backflow preventer. To start off, residents are probably going to incur something close to $1,000 in cost. How long it's going to take them from not paying a sewer bill, it's going to take them a while to recover their expenses. Okay? And I would also encourage residents to not only connect their sprinkler through this second meter, but if they were smart, they would also connect their outdoor spigots. So it's going to take some replumbing of whatever they have. So with that being said, Lori is in the process. Lori and Sandy are putting together a full checklist of what they're going to have to do to get this second meter. Because even the cost of the meter, I think, is $400.
And it has to be one.
Yeah, it's a 1 inch meter. It's a 1 inch meter.
It's not up 3/4.
So it's not a standard, you know, in order to accommodate this. So that and the inspection fees, the installation, and the annual inspection. And the thing that we have to make sure these annual inspections are done because of the potential contamination to our system by the sprinkler system. So, you know, we will be out doing an inspection. It's something that has to be done.
The inspection is done by the certified master plumber.
Right, okay, but we'll make sure that it has to be done.
When you say we.
No. You guys won't be doing it, but we'll make sure that it's done. So, just so, you know, when residents are asking the questions about the cost, it's gonna be costly. So,
Yeah, once our resident looked into the price, I think even with the bill that they had and their shock of how much watering for new sod ultimately is going to cost them, the second meter was still cost prohibitive.
that's why I rely on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an unfortunate catch point too with the new,
Yes.
the new bills.
Yeah, unfortunate. Call from the floor. Call from, representative Yatters.
Good evening, Mr. President, and honorable council members. I'm Jeff Yarrick, State Representative. I've been before you before. That I'm in my second year of my term, so you guys have seen me a few times. I just want to say thank you for opening up the chamber an hour ahead of your council meeting, allow me to make myself available for what I call the listening tour, and maybe if residents want to come in and dialogue personally, I like to just be in district and be available. So thank you very much for allowing that to occur. Just a few reports. I also, this is my time to make sure that I attend the local, when I do these, I also attend the local council and board meetings so I can kind of hear what the issues that are going on in local government and stay connected. I think in the past, I think the state doesn't do a great job of making sure we stay connected with local government, so I really advocate for that. Just a few things, road funding, which I know is important, something near and dear to all of our hearts. I've heard loud and clear that road funding is important. We had $170 million in last year's budget that was surplus, and we got out to communities. Realized when you spread that across the state, it doesn't turn out to be that much, but still try and get that money out to villages, our road agency, getting that out. While we were doing the budget from January, that starts in January and we finish up in May, found out that we had an additional $300 to $400 million of projected revenue in next year's budget. I made a point during my listening tours and on Facebook and things, get out asking people, what do you think we should do with the $300 million? Let me ask you what you think we should do with that. And as much as I'm a fiscal conservative, I like to cut taxes myself. Overwhelmingly, people said fix the roads. And I'm on appropriations for transportation, the subcommittee I'm on, and I pushed that money go to roads because people were very concerned about that. So we did push an additional $300 million out. That's going to be in next year's budget. As you know, this is often, why that money comes in on a monthly basis, and you have to build up some funds so you can do projects. But I just want to know that issue is definitely heard loud and clear for me. As you tonight, you talked about revenue sharing, or the CBT, but I just call it revenue sharing. Excuse me. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of interest in Lansing for increasing revenue sharing. And it's something that's very disappointing. As many of you know, I came from the Richmond City Council. I come from local government. I'm very frustrated with the state not supporting local government. So many important things are done. Police, fire, street lights, streets, all those things, a lot of those things are done at the local levels and real things that are very important to our residents. And I would just say that there's just not a lot of interest in increasing that. It's one of my priorities to try to return the money that the state, over the years, has balanced its books on the backs of local government. And I'm going to be honest, that's happened. I know it's happened, and this is something I'm trying to change. I keep trying to remind people of the issues of unfunded mandates and the fact of funding our local governments properly. I just wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity to come out to attend the unveiling of the Reverend Mack Boulevard, I think, Boulevard, last weekend. So appreciate what you're doing in your community on that. Just a few other things. Trustee Vander Kookhoff. Did I get close? Didn't even get anywhere near. We've been in touch, since he's really taken on the issue of economic development. Reached out to our office. We've been trying to do a few things, hitting a lot of roadblocks, but we've been trying to offer some other pathways and some ways to help with economic development. So I appreciate the trustee reaching out to our office. And this is something I've been trying to do for all my communities, is that I have bills for, I have a bill for Armada Village. There's an issue in Armada Township regarding internet. In fact, Ray Township came up with an elections issue. We obviously have an issue going on in Macomb Township. So I have a lot of different bills trying to help out local government in some way with the concerns they have and allow you to be more efficient and serve your residents better. That's something I found when I was in local government very frustrating, that there was a lot of things the state did that actually got in the way of me doing a good job, and I really would say, just get out of the way and let me do my job. I understand how to serve the citizens. So I have a number of bills. If you look, I'm up to like 50 bills, and a number of them have to do with helping local government work through those roadblocks and allow you to be more efficient. So as I said, I will be here after the meeting, so if there's any the council members that want to bring up any other issues, I'll be here if you want to discuss things, or if other residents want to have a continued conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I will add that Mr. Yard has been quite visible within the village of New Haven. Matter of fact, I run into him. Oh my God, I'm like, okay. But he has definitely been working on our behalf. Like he stated, he was at the street dedication Sunday. He showed up at our annual senior citizen picnic. He was at our community center grand opening. he hasn't forgotten about us. He does come out and he does support us. And, like I said, he does listen to what members of this board and the residents have to say. So thank you for doing what you do, and we'll always support you. If I could, we're supposed to go closed session before we go to call from the table. Closed session, there's a number of items, and we're going to be back here just a little bit. But let's do call from the table first. If there's any issues that we have at the table, because the residents may want to stick around, because I have one. We've got some estimates on taking down some trees in the cemetery. The trees in the cemetery, well, it's a beautiful cemetery, and there's some beautiful old trees that are starting to fall. We had a limb come down, probably better than 2 feet in diameter. Luckily, it fell right between 2 rows. We could have taken out probably a dozen headstones. And these are headstones, it was in an area where the headstones are 75, 80, 90 years old. Virtually irreplaceable. So the DPW has been going around and they've gotten some estimates from some companies, because there's a lot of trees, and this particular limb that fell from the outside didn't appear to be dead. It was in full bloom. When it dropped, you could tell it was hollowed out. I don't know what kind of growing it's doing. There must be some good soil over it. I don't know. But anyways, so we got an estimate, and the cemetery fund is healthy and it has the money. And the best estimate we had is for, and Marcus had to leave, earlier, was for I'm going to say $9,000. The estimates were between $9,000 and $15,000. There's a number of trees in the cemetery, and these are big trees, and it's going to take some skill to take them down because of where they're located. You have graves all around them, so they can't just drop a tree. It's going to take some time, and there's a dead tree on Pine Street that they've included in this, and there's a nuisance tree by the food pantry that they also want to take down. This tree is home to a lot of birds and a lot of poop. So they want to get rid of this tree by the pantry. So with that being said, I'm going to request permission to authorize the DPW to go forward and take down the trees in the cemetery that have been marked. And there's probably half a dozen. And it's unfortunate because it does provide good shade and whatnot. They are probably picking up limbs probably on a weekly basis. And so far we've been fortunate that it hasn't really caused any damage to any markers. So with that being said, I would like to get approval to authorize DPW to have these trees taken down. And this will come out of the cemetery fund.
And do we know what the cemetery fund is at?
Cemetery fund,
Like 200,000.
yeah, it's healthy. Yeah.
Will they be replacing any of the trees?
I've encouraged the cemetery committee, and I'm going to have to encourage them again to start finding locations to plant new trees that may not pose a potential problem in the future. It's something that they probably need to really take a look at and find a tree that is going to bloom and look good without, there's a lot of old pines out there, and these pines are just, and they're not deep rooted anyways, and these trees are really starting to become a concern.
Can we do this? Can we schedule them for September 12th? That way we can vote on it on the 11th, since it wasn't on this?
We can, sure.
All right, that's what I have a problem with having one. We don't see a huge detriment over the course of the house.
That's not a problem.
I would do that. That way we don't need a motion tonight. And we'll have it scheduled ready to go for the 12th. Because they're probably not going to get out there for another 2 or 3 days anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
So
not.
get it scheduled on the 12th and vote or anything about it. They're ready to go in the morning.
What was the estimate on the cost?
You know, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was somewhere around $9,000. But I know he told me that he had 3 estimates, and the low was 9 something and the high was 15 something. And 3 companies that we use, so we know that they're fine and insured and everything good to go. With that being said, we will make sure that's on the agenda. Motion in order for a closed session, unless there's anything else on the table.
I'd like to bring up for the properties along 26 Mile, entering the village from when you start at Roselle. There we go, sorry. I
Always making stuff
I knew I wasn't
complicated
saying
that
it correctly.
needs to be.
Yeah, Roselle, I should know. When you're coming in from Roselle along 26 Mile Road, there are a number of properties on the north side of 26 and within our village that don't have proper screening. The truck depot, there's the vehicles that are always seem to be parked out front of balers, towing, or where they have basic metals. And I believe that our ordinances require screening for those properties. And I think just, generally speaking, it just would really improve the looks of the village along 26 Mile to have all that just screened out so it's not visible from the street.
And do something with the weeds going up in the fence.
Yeah.
And the fences are supposed to be maintained as well. It does say clear of vegetation, et cetera. So fences and lack of fences, especially like it's saying by Roselle, there's often vehicles parked there and they're generally smashed up. Actually, they're waiting to be put behind the fence that does exist, which is set back from the road quite a ways. But oftentimes they're on the front side of that fence. 6, 7, or 8 of them sometimes at any given.
I think Ballard says they told them there for people to pick them up, but it still looks like.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're there for days on end, it's like through the weekend, sometimes they're there one day.
It just
and
looks
then
horrible.
But then a new car is there.
I will say, talking to a tow truck driver with Ballard's, they have had people come pay for their tow, get it out of the lot and put it in front of the fence. And at that point, it's out of Ballard's hands.
But it's
the
on
owner
their
of the
property.
car. But it's the owner of the car.
But it's on Ballard's property. Well, that corner Roselle is owned by.
But the owner of the car came, moved it from behind the fence to the front of the fence and just left it there.
It's
Sounds like a
still
ticket.
the property, the owner of the property's responsibility to make sure that their property isn't in violation.
Well, with all this being said, I've been in touch. I had a conversation with Trustee B, and I've been in touch with Jeff Schrader, our planner, and he is putting together an opinion for that whole area, what we can do, what we should or shouldn't do. And it's like I told Dan that if it's determined that Ballard is in violation, then I'll have a conversation with Mr. Ballard, because I know he will do whatever he needs to do to be in conformance. But I've also have expressed a disapproval of our focus being on that corner. While that corner may be the entry point to the village coming from the west, that corner is probably 1,000% improved over what it was, which was three dilapidated, vacant, rundown, overgrown houses. Okay? My focus has been, and I continue to try to get the code enforcement guy who is constantly being distracted out to 26 in Roselle, but I'm trying to get him to focus on the core of the village. And there are some areas that he is laying the groundwork, trying to do the paperwork, but for some reason, 26 in Roselle is suddenly the worst spot in the village. And I think that's a crock of crap.
Can we address that?
No.
I think
A
that's-
motion in order to
I
close
think that's
session.
completely yes, that you don't allow it to be addressed there, because you just made an assertion to me.
It really doesn't require any back and
You're
forth.
making a false dichotomy. If you do one, you can't do the other. That's complete crap.
I make a motion to go to closed session at 8:33. Do we have a second?
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
We'll talk about it. It was fine.
Can someone second it or not?
Second.
Yeah, give me a second.
All in favor?
All right.
Yeah, yeah.